Let's see. Turn my camera on. There we go. Welcome back, everybody. So let's debate basketball. Today we got a very special guest, a high school entrepreneur. He used to hoop himself. Now he's just focused on making money and helping others achieve the same goal. His name is Elijah Goins. How are you doing today?
Doing great, man. I'm very glad that I have the opportunity to be on here today and, explain, help your viewers and give them as much value as possible.
Thank you for opening up for us like that, my guy. So, first let's start off with basketball, like how you got into basketball at a young age. You know, this is a basketball channel, and then we
Right.
could basically just end with your entrepreneurship. I know that's gonna be like the main focus of this video, and it's gonna be some for the players that go far watching this channel. They might actually listen to some of your tips. So let's get into it.
All right, before I start, I just wanted to, make everyone, a little bit familiar about what I do, who I am. My name is Elijah Goins, and you know, over the past year, I've been featured on multiple articles such as New York Finance. I've been featured on Disrupt magazines, and I've had walked alongside hundreds of different entrepreneurs and CEOs through my online coaching, and I do sales training, and I have a clothing brand. But what was the question?
So basically, just get into how you started playing basketball at a young age, and then after that, let's start talk about the transition from playing basketball to be an entrepreneur in high school.
So how I started playing basketball at a young age, I am a very purpose-driven guy, and so I fell in love with the game. I came from a very basketball orientated family. I used to, like growing up, all I would hear is about the Lakers, basketball. And for me, like, I just fell in love with the game at a young age. And I think it, helped me so much in terms of, how I am now. It taught me a lot of principles that I use in terms of business and just in general.
I got you. So, how was your experience playing AAU and all that? I know you did play AAU and you played during middle school and all that. How was that experience for you?
So when I played basketball, I was always the underdog. For one, I wasn't never the tallest on the court,
Mhm.
and I would always, I started basketball at a very like older age than most people start off at. I started off at 11, didn't have a lot of skills in order to, get to where I was. Because when I started playing, I was a freshman on bar, and I
Mhm.
messed up my knee. But in order to compensate for that, I would always work the hardest. I would spend 6 hours, 8 hours in the gym, making sure I challenged, the best people there. Like
Mhm.
I was 12 years old and I didn't even like playing with, kids my age. I would always challenge, people who are like old as 21-year-olds, 30 years olds and just trying to, you know, get better. But my experiences with AAU, I think it was a good culture, a lot to learn from. Just it's just something that it's just a culture where you're constantly, getting uncomfortable and you have you're able to network with so many people. Like I got to the privilege to play for, Devin Labs team and that got me a lot of connections. And, I networked with a lot of, my teammates for, business opportunities and just, generally people who, push me every day because I love being around goal driven and purpose driven people.
So, I know you also do. You're also like a fitness coach too, for people that could afford it. Where do you think high school basketball players should be in terms of their body size? 'Cause you know me, I was pretty skinny. I got hurt a lot. So, where do you think that the place should be at for them?
I think for high school basketball players,
Hmm.
the physique you shouldn't your physique shouldn't be your number one concern, but I
Hmm.
think it's very important to have that strength, but it's the most important for a basketball player is just explosiveness. You're constantly running down court, and what's gonna a lot of the basketball stances and different movements, you got to be explosive,
Hmm.
and I feel like like for basketball players it's very you have to know what you're doing when you're working out. You can't just go in a gym and do a bodybuilder workout. You gotta know exactly, like you gotta do certain movements in a game and you gotta, implement those movements and you gotta, strengthen certain muscles to help you, know, make the most out of those movements.
Got you. That's like key information right there. Hopefully somebody actually listen to that and not just go in the gym and hurt themselves. So basically let's get into the fun stuff now. The entrepreneurship.
Mhm.
You started doing that in high school. So where did that come from actually? I'm out of nowhere. You just like, I'm an entrepreneur now. I'm gonna start doing this. This is what I'm doing. Here's my businesses. And you got
Mhm.
the businesses set up and they're doing big. I'm like, wow, that's crazy.
So where that came from, as you guys like, if you didn't know me, basketball used to be like my huge passion. Right now, I'm probably gonna get a little bit vulnerable. I'm trying to help you know, make myself vulnerable as possible because I know your viewers, some of your viewers might be going through similar, struggles right now.
Mm-hmm.
But so how I got into entrepreneurship, there was a point in life I was just lost. When I injured my knee, I had a cartilage replacement, and I didn't actually get it replaced till last August. So I went, I lost, I wasn't able to cop on court. That was just my way of, connecting with people and my way of, just expressing myself. And so for me, like, I lost that purpose. And on top of that, after I lost the sport I loved, I lost my father figure because I didn't grow up without a father, but I had a grandpa who played a very, big impact in showing me how to be a man.
Mm-hmm.
And I lost, I lost my closest woman in my life, who was my grandma. I lost her, and I lost a lot of different things. So at one point in life, I was just lost. I was just empty. I didn't have anything to me, and then I had, no purpose. I'm a very, purpose-driven guy, and so like for that, like it just really just messed with me because I was just like at that point, like I lost like everything. I was a completely different person in a completely different environment, and I'm used to like I'm used to constantly, pushing, and working out, doing what I got to do. But for like a cool year of my life, all I
Yeah.
would do is get high,
Mm-hmm.
drink, and I would literally have no purpose.
I feel you,
Party all-
man.
And it was just, there was a point in my life where I just had to, make that transition because I knew there was more for me. And so, how entrepreneurship started, my ventures with entrepreneurship, what went down was kind of like to call it like my superhero moment.
Mm-hmm.
But so what happened was I was on my way to a party. I was talking with the Uber driver, right? We were
Yeah.
talking about, just because I always like to, communicate with people, talk to people, because people have interesting stories.
Mm-hmm.
And he was breaking down, the law of attraction, how important it is to have goals. He told me to watch this movie. It was called The Secret. And then, later that night, I got fucking trashed, came
Mm-hmm.
home, smoked some more weed. And then the day after that, I watched a movie. And then on the movie, they had an activity. It said, write down where you want to be in 6 months. At that point, I was in desperate need. I lost completely everything I had. I lost my purpose. I was just empty. And so I just started letting my hand fucking write. Like I wasn't, really thinking, all right, I wanted to have a clothing brand. I wanted to have, believe it or not, I actually wrote this. I wanted to have a body like Michael B. Jordan. Because like at that time I was like fat, out of shape and shit. And like
Yeah.
I just really lost handle of my life.
Mm-hmm.
From then on, like I finally found that purpose. And from like that those next, 3 months, I just started picking up different habits. Like I would study a lot of successful people. I'd spend like hours and hours just really watching what habits they have, what actions they're taking, what's their routines, what really got them to that level. And then what I would also do was like there was always like I know a lot of entrepreneurs and a lot of people who want to get into business. They're afraid to start up because they don't have a blueprint. They don't know exactly where to start from. But for me, I didn't know what I was doing. I literally, I didn't have no funds to start a clothing brand. I didn't have no funds to do anything. I didn't have a job. I got fired from my last job. And so for me, it was just like a matter of just finding, just working with what I can. So I started working out. Okay, I got a nice body. It's time to make some money off of it because I needed to, raise money for my brand. So I started going to the gym every single day. And I would stay like, I would wake up at 3 a.m. and I'd stay up to 7 a.m. to make sure, just pitching to people. Like people would walk in my gym because I live in an apartment complex. I'd be like, hey, my name is Elijah Goins. How you doing? Da 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 da. I'm a personal trainer here, and I would love to do a couple sessions with you and see how where we want to go from here. And then like literally like I would stay from 3 a.m. to 7 a.m. Then I'll go to school from 3 to about like 9. I'm just in the gym, just constantly talking, pitching, doing what I can to put money on the plate. And after a while, like I heard a lot of no's, but then at the same time, I heard a lot of yeses. I got better and better and better and better. And then eventually, like I was started making some decent amount of money, like $25 an hour. I was constantly, training people, and I just built my vision. I started finding that purpose again, and I started to, pick up good habits. Like I stopped, I stopped smoking as heavy. I stopped, drinking, and it was just I was starting to finally win that battle with my demons because for so long, that period, I was just battling myself. It was every day. It was just a warfare, in my head.
I know
So
for me it was like a my bad, but for me it was like a big difference. Like you're telling me come shoot this video for you, even though I couldn't finish editing it because I got super sick. But got up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I was like, that's crazy. And you were like, I do this every day. I'm like, this is a different man now. Getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning every single day,
yeah,
working that hard.
yeah, I wanted it bad, and that's that's what a lot of people are willing to sacrifice. A lot of people have big goals, big vision. They don't.
Mhm,
They're not willing to sacrifice anything. I put it all on the line. So what I had to do was literally like I gave up, school. I stopped caring about literally I literally put myself in my own reality.
mhm,
All I was focused on was finding my goal, achieving my goal,
mhm,
and doing what I can to, win this battle. Because at that time, I still wasn't 100% mentally. Like I was getting over, like at one point, like before I started, finding purpose, I'd be high every hour of the day. And eventually, it started carrying off to, luckily for me, like I stopped at a good point, but it started carrying off to, other shit, other different, types of, I'm not going to get into the specifics, but other type of shit. And, like what really kind of, gave me a reality check. I saw one of my best friends, suffer from it. And it was kind of just a reality check. Like, look, you need to change. You need to get it together because you're on a path to being right there with it.
mhm.
And in those moments of life, you only have two options. Either you're gonna succumb to that pain or you're gonna grow from it. Luckily for me, I just had a point where I just couldn't do it no more. I couldn't I couldn't deal with it. So I found my purpose. And from then on, like my entrepreneurship ventures, it really started taking off after quarantine.
Mhm,
Cause that's when I was just, I started realizing like, okay, I'm really good at this. I could sell, really good at, working with people. And I'm really, goal driven.
mhm,
And I was faced with a decision, you know where I was just like, look, like in order, I had the potential to, really make it in this, and I made a sacrifice with myself. I told myself that fuck college, fuck everything else,
mhm,
you threw yourself into the job. Like you're I literally threw myself into an environment. I cut off from all the distractions. I wasn't kicking it with homies. I wasn't kicking it with anybody. I didn't even have Snapchat. I didn't even have Instagram. It was just pure, just me, just working, pushing, doing what I can to, propel myself to where I'm at right now. And not a lot of people understand that. They think like, oh yeah, like, like it's like, because my mom, she's a very well-known entrepreneur. But for me, like, I never like, I'm very independent. That comes from, not having a father, and my mom constantly working. And so for me, like it was just a matter of, like finally, stepping out of my shell and, finding that purpose again and applying it.
That's some deep information right there, man. I hope everybody that watches this video really puts that and includes that into their own life. Feel like you can do it with that mentality. You can do anything in this world. So, I know you said entrepreneurship. You explained how you got into it.
Hmm.
Or somebody getting done playing basketball, say they go to play overseas or they play at NBA, and they
Hmm.
want to make sure they keep their money, save their money. Do you think they should get into entrepreneurship themselves or hire somebody like you to take care of the money for them?
Why are you saving money? Money's meant to spend and invest.
Hmm.
That's the first thing. The second thing is I would just start up. I don't care what you have access to. I don't care what you can do. I would just start up because there's a talent, there's a skill that you have that's in demand. No matter who you are, no matter what you do, there's something that you have that's special about you that other people could use. And so, like, my advice would just be like, just get started. Find something that you could bring value to a lot of people, whether it be clothes, whether it be, you know, your, physique, whether it be, you're just anything. Find something that you bring to the table that is special and that you could provide to a high level. And it doesn't even have to be special. You could just build skills that are in high demand. Skills how to sell, how to do copywriting, how to, present yourself, how to, just skills that up your perceived value. Because when you get enough skills, that sets your net worth higher. For example, like if I was to lose everything I had right now, I'd be fine. Because I could easily get a job or, a certain, opportunity because of my skills. I know how to sell at a very high level. I know how to, work with people, and like I know how to generally connect with people. So that already right there offers opens so many different, doors for me.
Hmm.
And I would say like for a young athlete that's, like making that same transition I did, find something that you do at a high level or learn something that could very be very beneficial to other people. And yeah, and I think the most important thing for athletes, especially when you have the platform right now, is just build a brand around your name. You realize, because money comes and goes, but what's always going to stick with you is your name. And the more you do, no matter what it is, the more attention and traction you bring to your name, the more you can leverage that. And no matter what business venture you do, if it fails, you still have your name.
Hmm.
And as an athlete, you already have an advantage over 99.9% of people.
There's
Because
a huge name right there in itself. I
because
feel like my bad. I feel like athletes don't know like how much money their name brings. Like every time they're on high school basketball on TV or playing college on TV or an NBA on TV, millions of dollars being made off their name that day, and they don't really understand that. Like once they get done with basketball, they easily go be a head coach or a trainer and charge through the roof prices, but they don't think that. They go home and sit down all day. So
right, and it's just about leveraging that, getting your name out there more. And so like when basketball doesn't, if it doesn't work out for you, you still have your name, and that name is something that you're always going to have. That identity, which what your resume is, what you accomplished, that's always going to stand out to whatever job you're applying for, whatever career venture you're trying to go into, it's always going to be there for you.
mhm. Well, that's all I had to ask for you today. That's a lot of information. Is there anything else you want to tell the people?
um I still got a lot, I still got a lot to there's still a lot we could touch up upon. And like it's really up to you at this point.
I mean, I like hearing it. I feel like you can go on. I can listen to you talk all day, man. It's like this is some deep information just through this Zoom call right now. Like it's getting put it back in my brain and getting back on track for me. So I feel like I'm down to listen to some more. It's like it's free content right here. So
All right, man, you asked me a question, I'll provide you value.
All right, so I guess let's make it more personal then. What do you think I can improve at in my life?
What do you think you can improve in?
Yeah, because basketball didn't work out for me. I got hurt. I got sick. Now I'll focus on the interview. What do you think I can improve at to keep my life going in that straight direction?
Getting your name out there more,
Mm-hmm.
learning, to position yourself around the right type of people, which I think you're already doing. I say like right now you're playing the cards right. You're getting the right network. You're getting the right team around you. I see you're working with a lot of ambition. You're working with a lot of great people to surround yourself with.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that if you keep on doing that, I think the success will come. It's just a matter of knowing how to learning how to take it to a massive scale, which you should do. It's create a goal,
Mm-hmm.
create what you want to accomplish. Whether it be making $100,000 a month, doing creating a platform with millions and millions of users. You got to create a goal because you got to think of your life as a GPS. If you don't have a destination, like where exactly are you heading? But at the same time, the more and more goals are meant to just be to spur you on,
Mm-hmm.
and they change over time, and it's just a matter of just realizing what you're worth, and because I do believe that you have a lot of traits that a lot of people that makes you stand out. You're very understanding, and you're very easy to talk to. That's a traits that a lot of people don't have.
Mm-hmm.
And you're genuinely I could tell you're genuinely invested and have a lot of ambition in what you do.
Thank you, my guy. I mean, that's a lot right there, man, to take in.
Mhm.
Um, Actually, let me check. 20 minutes in. Let's go ahead and end the episode. I would like to thank you for coming. Elijah Goins, life coach, a fitness coach, entrepreneur. Is there any way people could contact you just in case they want to talk to you more or buy your services?
Well, I answer you could just I don't really check my DMs like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the best way of hitting me up is probably if you could I'm on LinkedIn, Elijah Goins, or you could hit up my Facebook. Or I do check Snapchat occasionally.